My name is David Rizzo with Rogers Gardens, and today I'm going to show you how to plant a probiotic garden. This is an earth box. This is a self-watering container, and so I'm going to start filling it with a soulless potting soil. First, I'm going to put the reservoir tube in here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a plate in the bottom where the water will sit and the soil is actually wicked up. So when you do plant these, make sure that you're packing the soil good into the corners. So I'm going to start filling it with a light medium potting soil. So get this nice and keep on packing. Like what I'm doing is I'm going to tilt it sideways. I'm going to pack these corners down because that's how it really helps wick the water up. So pack it down. I always pack as I go. I always take my hands and go sort of flat and just level it out and just sort of pack it. Next step I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using Dolomite lime. Dolomite lime is really for the minerals. So this is your trace minerals. And so I'm going to take about 1 to 2 handfuls of Dolomite lime and I'm going to mix it in. So I always sprinkle stuff over the top. And I'll usually use about 1 to 2 handfuls, and that equates out to probably almost like about a cup or so. So got that on the surface. So I'm just gonna work it in really good, spread it out, work it in really good. I try to work it deep though too. I'm working it down about 3-4 inches or working into the whole back mix. And so the next thing is I'm gonna take the Grokashi, and the Grokashi is more of beneficial bacteria. They're really going to get the mycelium going, and the mycelium will really help nutrients break down that are available to the plants. And so I'm going to take some of the Grokashi. Let me open the box. And so it's in like a brand. So I'm going to take about almost a quarter of a cup to about a half a cup, and I'm going to sprinkle it on the surface. And then I'm going to work it in. I'm going to sort of lightly work it in. I don't really have to work this that deep. I want it to be sort of close to the surface so it really gets the mycelium to activate on the surface. So work that on the surface. And with the probiotic garden, I'm going to be planting tomatoes in there. So I have 2 of my favorite tomatoes. I have San Francisco Fog. And so what I like to do is I always pinch off the lower branches because I'm going to plant it deeper. So I'm going to take it out of the container. When you plant tomatoes deeper, you really will get a lot of roots along the side stem. So that encourages more roots. Plant will really helps out the plant. So I'm going to plant it nice and deep and pack it down, and I'm going to sort of put the soil around it. I'm going to put actually 2 in this box. I'm going to put 1 on this corner, and then I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to plant it on the other corner. So let me pinch these lower branches off at 2 right here, and then I'm going to plant this one on this side. The next step I'm going to do is EM1 is like your inoculant. This is basically high in microbial inoculant, which is high in enzymes, and so I already mixed some into this watering can, so I'm going to water it in, but usually I'll use about 1 ounce, like 1 to 2 ounces put into the watering can. You can also mix in your Malibu compost tea. This is another product that I'll take the bag and I'll squeeze it into the water. So that's another one that, let me just show you guys really quick, that I'll do even with the EM1. I'll soak this Malibu bag in there and I'll squeeze it. And this is just a really good compost tea. And this is another sort of high enzyme with some nutrients to water in. It's really to get the Grokashi to activate. I'm gonna water it in really good. So I'll take my watering can and I'm gonna soak it in good. Just wanna get the Grokashi to activate, so give it a good drink. And so the next step, I'm gonna take some of the Malibu compost. I'll put it down now, but normally you can wait about a week or 2 to sort of get the mycelium to activate, but I'm gonna put some down right now, and I'm basically just lightly topping it on the surface. I'm not putting it really thick, but I'm just doing like a light top dressing. And that should be pretty good right there. And sometimes I'll sort of sprinkle it out a little bit, and just a light top dressing of the Malibu. And so the next step, I like to put this cover over it, because this cover will really help the natural bacteria and the microbes really activate, because it'll help keep it evenly moist. So what I usually do is, I'm going to put this over the whole thing. So I'm going to put the cover over it, but I'm going to make some X's with it so I can bring the tomato plants back through it. And that's it. That is your wellness garden. And so a lot of times as the tomatoes get taller, I will be staking them with either a tomato cage or maybe a bamboo stake. So now I'm going to show you how to stake them. And generally I'm just using one of the bamboo stakes, and I'm going to push it right in behind the tomato. So this is the first stake. I'm just going to sort of push that stake in there, and then what I'll do is, as they grow, I'm going to lightly tie it up this stake. And so here's the other stake right here. I'm going to push it right behind the tomato plant. And another thing that I like to do too is, with this reservoir, this is really a self-watering container, and what I like to do is I'll water light on the surface when I first plant, like I showed you guys, but then I will fill this reservoir about once or twice a week. And so what I usually do is I'll take my watering can and take the end off. And this is the mixture of water that has the compost tea in it, has the EM1 inoculant. So I'm just going to pour it down that reservoir, and usually I like to fill it pretty good. I'll usually put about a half a gallon of water in there, and what that does is, that reservoir that sits down in the bottom, that reservoir, the soil sits in corners of the reservoir, and then it wicks the water up. For the first time, I do use the compost tea and the EM1. I'll come back and do the compost tea and the EM1 again in probably about 2 to 3 weeks. And maybe in another 3 to 4 weeks, I might come back with a little Grokashi and top dress a little bit more Grokashi and a little bit more of the Malibu compost on the surface. The reason why I'm doing a probiotic garden is I really want to create an environment where the plants thrive with natural bacteria and natural nutrients, so it really will help the plant grow, and they'll need less water, and it's doing it in a natural way where you're not using any chemicals. So with the Grokashi as your beneficial bacteria that really creates the mycelium, your EM1 is going to be your inoculant or your enzymes, the compost tea is going to be your enzymes, and then the Malibu really, it gives the mycelium something to feed off of. So you're really growing healthy plants in a natural way with no chemicals. This is a tomato that I've been growing biodynamically for almost 3 months, and this is a variety called Jet Setter. And so the soil medium is Malibu potting soil, and then I'll use the Grokashi mixed into the surface with the Malibu compost over the top. And then I'm also using a compost tea every 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'm making the compost tea with the EM1, which is in my enzyme. I'm using the Malibu compost tea, and then I'm using the Grokashi that I actually put into a cheesecloth bag and steep it, and usually let it sit overnight and water it in about every 2 to 3 weeks. Thank you for joining me today. This is David Rizzo. Rogers Gardens brings beauty into your home and garden.